to Gluten-Free Goodness. I'm Jody, and today we're going to talk about what can I eat. When you're on a gluten-free diet, sometimes you feel like you can't eat anything. You're afraid you're going to get sick, or you just don't want to eat gluten for whatever reason. You don't know what can I eat. So there really are a lot of things you can eat. So I'm going to talk about some of those. Let's say you're in your supermarket and you are in the fruit and vegetable area. There's almost everything in that area is okay to eat because fruits and vegetables are naturally gluten-free if they're plain, if they haven't added a sauce or anything to them. So you should be good with everything in the fruit and vegetable aisle. Let's say you're in the meat area. All meats and fish should be okay, unless you have to be careful because sometimes there's a marinade on the meat, or they have been injected with a solution to add the juiciness to them. That's probably not okay because a lot of times there's gluten in that, and I have accidentally grabbed the wrong package and had that happen, and I did get sick. So you have to be careful with that. Of course, you don't want any breaded meat because the breading is going to have gluten in it. Wheat, probably. Now, how about the dairy aisle? Dairy should be mostly okay. You've got milk, cheese, butter, yogurt. Most of that's just fine. There are some yogurts that are actually labeled gluten-free. I think it's Yoplait, so excuse me. So that should be just fine. Now, ice cream, though, you have to be careful because some ice creams are not gluten-free. Let's say you get a cookies and cream flavor of ice cream. The cookies are going to have gluten and that's not going to be okay. And even if you are buying a flavor that doesn't have the cookies, maybe they make it on the same machines, the kind you're eating, you could have contamination into your ice cream through that, so you don't want that. I was thinking some butter spreads contain gluten, so you're going to want to read the labels to be sure. Pure butter should be just fine. How about the spices and the condiments? If we're going to buy plain meat, we're probably going to want to put some spice or something on that when we cook it. So I know McCormick spices, most are gluten-free. That's what I use. Not all are. Some of their spice blends have gluten in them, so you're going to read the labels, and you might have to call the manufacturer if you're not sure. One thing to look for, a biggie, is natural flavoring. You'll see that on labels. Natural flavoring, what is that? To me, it just screams gluten, and it could very well be, so you have to be careful. Ketchup and mustard I buy both say gluten-free on them. There are some, I know, ketchup that isn't gluten-free, and I've accidentally had some, got sick. Mustard, I'm not so sure. I think most mustard is gluten-free, but again, read the labels to see what's in them. You could always call the manufacturer if you are not sure. Just ask them, does this product contain gluten? Soy sauce. I love to put soy sauce on things, but soy sauce is made from wheat and contains gluten, so there are certain brands that you can buy, specialty brands that are gluten-free. If you want to use soy sauce, that's what you should do. How about the cereal aisle? Most cereal is going to contain gluten. You might get cornflakes and think, well, it's cornflakes. Corn is fine, but it's not because there's malt flavoring in the cornflakes, which is gluten. So that's no good. So you have to read the labels and be careful. There are some mainstream cereals now that are gluten-free, like Chex has, I think, 5 gluten-free flavors. I know Rice Krispies has a version that's gluten-free, which I've had and is very good. I think Fruity Pebbles and Cocoa Pebbles are now labeled gluten-free as well. And then there are always some really good cereals in your gluten-free section that are very good, and you won't have to worry about any cross-contamination like you might in some of the mainstream cereals. If they're using the same lines to make the regular cereals and then they're gluten-free, you can get contaminated that way. Bread and buns. If we go down the bread aisle, there's not too many things we're going to be able to eat there. I buy Udi brand bread, which I buy in the frozen section is very good. Gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, and nut-free. Personally, that's my favorite, but you can buy many different brands and types. There's breads made out of tapioca, rice, potato, and you have to find what you like, what's the best for you. So you're not going to find too many gluten-free options in the bread aisle, but also you can get muffins and buns that are gluten-free from the specialty manufacturers that are very good. Soups and broths, a lot of those contain gluten, I've discovered. There's a big chance, sometimes they add like wheat flour in as a thickener, or sometimes barley just for a flavor. So you have to read the labels and be careful with those. But there are brands that are labeled gluten-free that are good, and you just have to seek them out, and it's worth it. It's worth it. I think, looking at my notes here, I think that's everything. So, as you can see, there are plenty of things that you can eat, just even in a regular supermarket. Even if it didn't have a gluten-free section, you can still find plenty to eat. So thanks for being with us, and join us next time on Gluten-Free Goodness. Bye!